What's up, everyone? I'm here in my MLB Beat the Streak picks for April 7th. Hopefully some of you guys are continuing the streak with some of my picks or maybe some of your own thrown in as well. Without further ado, let's go and get to the first guy. And this is going to be a video where I'm actually going to talk about probably a couple of guys who may fly a bit under the radar, aren't going to be super popular picks. But the first player is Yoenis Cespedes. And you can see he's 5 for 16 against Chin, which isn't a massive sample size, and he doesn't have astronomical numbers. I believe the only extra base hit he has against Chin is actually a home run. The big reason is the sample size of Cespedes against left-handed pitching last season. Once again, not a huge amount of at-bats just because there's not that many left-handed pitchers, especially to come in to face a big power threat like Cespedes. But in the chances that he did have, he was able to bat almost 100 points higher. His slugging was over 100 points higher, and his OPS was like almost 200 points higher. So he definitely prefers seeing a pitcher of the opposite handness of him. He batted, like I said, 341, did hit 6 home runs, 16 RBIs, and went 29 for 85. So like I said, not a massive sample size, but that's to be expected against a guy like Cespedes. But it's also promising to see, even in the limited amount of chances he had, he still really took advantage of it. So Cespedes is definitely going to be a guy I'm going to consider just due to the fact that he's so prone to doing very well against these lefties. The second player that I want to talk about is going to be Ryan Braun, and it's going to be a very, very similar situation for him as well. He's going to be facing, as you can see, Brett Anderson. He's only 2 for 3, so again, not a very, very small sample size. One of those hits is actually a home run. But like I said, it's another situation, and you guys have probably noticed a pretty constant trend in these videos. I love going with the righty on lefty or lefty on righty matchups. I think it's very favorable. As a former player, I know how much of an impact that really makes, and you can even look at the splits if you've never played before, and you can see how big of a difference facing a guy of the opposite handness really makes. Braun, he's just like Cespedes. He smashes left-handed pitching, but a little bit different for Braun than Cespedes. Cespedes doesn't really hit for average against righties too well. Braun is a pretty high average hitter even when it comes to facing righties or lefties, but he still did bat quite a bit higher against lefties. He batted 344 against left-handed pitching last season compared to 293 against righties. His slugging actually wasn't that much higher, but it was nearly 600 against lefties, which is nice. And he actually had quite a few more at-bats against left-handed pitching as well. So, for me, I'm definitely going to be considering Ryan Braun anytime he's facing a left-handed pitcher. In this particular situation, it's no different. Braun, he only is batting like 250 right now at the beginning of very, very early in the 2017 season. But one of his home runs, actually, he only has one home run, and it did come off a left-handed pitcher. So in fact, he's 1 for 8 against righties so far this season, and he's 2 for 3 against lefties in the young season. So definitely shows that he has some success against lefties, and you can see he's going to be facing Brett Anderson here, and Brett Anderson already has a massive ERA to start this young season. So I definitely think this is a good spot for Braun. All right, so for my sleeper pick, I'm taking a look here at Charlie Blackmon. And this kind of goes against everything that I've talked about so far in the video, as it's going to be a lefty-on-lefty matchup. But Charlie Blackmon is a rare breed in the sense that he actually hits lefties a bit better in terms of average than he does against righties. Now, it's kind of weird because his slugging is actually a bit lower against lefties than it is righties, but his average is higher. It's not significantly higher, but it is about it looks like about 11 points higher against left-handed pitching than it is right. But the big thing is, they're finally going to be at home. You can take a look here at Blackmon's number. You can say, oh, he's a product of Coors Field. If you take a look at his power numbers, it's actually not the case. He actually hit more home runs last season in 2016 on the road than he did at home, but his average is quite a bit higher at home, about 20 points higher at home than on the road compared to last season. So, it's another guy who's getting off to a little bit of a slow start. He's only batting 125 right now, but Blackmon is a guy who's always going to hit for a pretty high average. You can see he's 5 for 10 against Ryu, which is definitely a nice thing to see here. And I expect this to be a pretty good game for Blackmon. Honestly, I'm actually heavily considering taking Blackmon over Cespedes. I feel pretty good about Braun, to be honest, but I may swap this out. I have yet to actually make a swap than a couple of the guys that I went with the video. So anyway, speaking of picks that I've made in the video, we can take a look here. So on the 5th, Miguel Cabrera's game got rained out. We already briefly talked about this. Paul Goldschmidt did not get a hit. It's a shame. I believe he had 2 at bats against the left-hander that was on the mound. It's leaving my mind right now. I can't remember who was actually on the mound, but I believe, and he got walked both times. Did see his last at bat though. Brendan Crawford made a great play, and he almost beat it out, but wasn't able to get it done. As far as today goes, Miggy actually went 0 for 3, so again, kind of a slow start for Miggy to begin this season. Nolan Arenado was 0 for until the top of the ninth, and he hit a pretty big home run for the Colorado Rockies, and I believe they went on to win the game. But once again, don't quote me on that. I haven't seen the highlights and whatnot and checked box scores. But unfortunately, our streak is over. We started off with a nice 6-game streak, and then when Miggy's game got rained out, it kind of messed up our head of steam there a little bit. So hopefully Braun and Cespedes, or whoever I end up going with, can continue our streak here. Let me know what your streak's at and who you've been relying on so far this season. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please sure to leave it a like, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.